This morning I made coffee and I was getting all cleaned up and I sat my coffee down here while I'm sitting here, and I had my tackle box with my makeup, stuff like that. Hey, well, I looked, I went to, and I thought, oh my gosh, even though this was closed, this was tipped. And it went all over this. So what I did, you know, I tried not to get angry. I tried not to get upset. But I pulled all my blankets. I've got 4 blankets here. I wanted to make sure and protect my carpet, because these I can wash. So I put a paper towel down. These are Viva, so they absorb really well. And I sort of made a barrier just in case. I pulled up my towel that got it the most. Yeah. I mean, I know better. I know better than to just sit this here instead of putting it there. I mean, I know better than to do that. You know, what does it take to do a little twist and set it down, right? It's sort of like at home. You don't put your coffee on your carpet. So now, now I need to go, and I'm kind of glad that I didn't do it before, because I was going to do it previously. I'm glad that I didn't wash all my blankets. They need to be washed, I think, at least once or twice a year. The blankets down to protect my carpet. And now I need to go do that, but it's okay. It's not the end of the world, is it? I mean, if that's the only problem I have, I'm doing pretty good, right? Yeah. Well, so I don't want to fret over the little things like that. But sometimes little things can add up, and that's what I want to talk about. I want to start talking about living inside your minivan. I mean, sometimes I talk about other things because that's who I am. I mean, I'm interested in other things besides how to live in a minivan or how to live in a van. But I think I want to get down to that again and start getting back into that just the next few videos. So cheers. I'd offer this to you, but I lost a lot of it. It's on my blankets right now. I know. I will say this. It is easier to live on the long haul. It's easier to live in a house. It really is. I mean, you can walk through the door. You can walk in the door, and I know how this goes. You can walk in a door after being somewhere, and you set your purse down, you set your keys down on the counter, and you go walk away. Well, not so when you live in a van, or for most of us. I mean, I suppose you could, but it's pretty much a chaotic life if you aren't organized. So, I mean, I know how to, and then you can go sit down. Not so when you live in a van. When you get in a minivan. You know, I know how to live in a minivan, and I'm going to go with like SUVs, minivans, smaller cars, smaller stealth cars. If you're in a build-out ProMaster or an Econoline that you've got built out, you've insulated and built it out, learning how to live the van life here in the Minivan Lee show, it's probably not going to happen, although don't go anywhere. You know, don't leave. But if you want that kind of lifestyle, I've never lived in an Econoline van. I've seen van tours, and I can only imagine that it's a little bit different than living in a minivan or an SUV or you know, a Ford, what do they call those? Ford Rangers, things like that. Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit different. This is a minivan, and if you're new here, I've lived in my minivan for 7 years. A minivan. This is my second one. And I enjoy the life. I do. I know if you've been watching me, I enjoy it. I really, really, really do. I wouldn't trade it. I honestly wouldn't trade it. But there are times where I realize that I present this life to you, but I want to present it as honestly as possible. It is tough sometimes. That's why I wanted to show you. I knocked over my coffee. Well, guess what? I have to like spend time now redoing and pulling up. That means I have to move these bins here. I have to move all these. Probably go to my storage. I love having my storage. Go to my storage and dump these out. It's a place to place them out. Get them out of my way. Then get as much out as I can, even maybe my pillows. Then drive to the laundromat and pull up everything. And then when I come back to the storage, I can lay it all down, then put back in my bins and things like that. Yeah. That's the way it's probably going to have to be. You don't have to do that when you're living in a house. I mean, if it's a spill and it's on the carpet or it's on the tile in Arizona, there's not much. I will mention, side note, in Arizona, there's very few homes, I'm sure that there, but that have wall-to-wall carpeting. I mean, it's not applicable for Arizona. What we do is we have tile and we may have area rugs. So you could take up your area rug, take it out, maybe put it on the line, hose it down as long as it's not a nice oriental one, hose it down a little bit, let it dry out in the sun because we have sun. That's the way I would have done it, you know. But, or if it's a tile, you go wipe it up with some paper towels. But here, it's a major deal. I do not want to smell, it's got creamer in it. So I do not want to smell spoiling creamer. I don't want to smell coffee. Because actually, this has fallen over onto my pillows before, and I had to wash my pillows. At one point, I threw my pillows away. I'm like, yeah, right. Like, I'm going to sit there and sleep on pillows like that. So when there's a mistake that's made, it's big. It's a big deal. It can be a big deal if you want to live a clean life. This doesn't look like a clean life. This is that Class C that's hung out at the park all summer long. He doesn't have a generator running, but I'll tell you, he does look like the king of duct tape and plastic. Can you imagine? I can't imagine what it looks like on the inside. I've seen vans, I've seen minivans that are just horrendously disorganized. There's just, on a bin, there's just piles of all kinds of stuff. Nothing is organized in categorization. I always say we learned how to categorize in kindergarten, right? You know, remember Sesame Street that was after my time, but I did watch it with my nieces and nephews, right? Sesame Street, one of these things is not like the other, one of these things is not the same. So you got to figure out what doesn't go with that category. We learned it in kindergarten. We didn't have Sesame Street, but we still learned it. We learned it without Ernie and Bert and Cookie Monster, yeah. We had Dick and Jane, see Dick and Jane run and Spot, right? What else did we have? Yeah, we had to learn things like that through books and pictures. Oh, yeah. Good old 1950s going to kindergarten, you know. I was born in 1953. So, yeah, 53 and then 5. So, 58, I started kindergarten, and I was very happy to be in kindergarten. I was very happy. I loved it. I couldn't wait to go. I was not afraid of it. I embraced kindergarten. But I embrace a lot of things. This is kind of my nature. So, when it comes to starting the nomad life, you need to picture, I would picture it in your mind, what do you see it as? What do you see happening with you? I think we all have a vision and we kind of know who we are. I think that's going to be number one. It starts here. I always say that everything that we see, it was created twice. First here, then out here. So I think you know yourself a little bit. I mean, you should. You should know who you are and what your desires are, what your likes and dislikes are. So what do you vision yourself having? A minivan? Starting out with just a vehicle that you already have. Well, you can start there and visualize yourself living in it. Or would you, or are your needs so that you have to be able to stand up? I can sit here. I have good knees. This knee is getting so much better. I still baby it. I may, even for, you know, a little bit more time, I'll have to baby it because I really whacked it. But, I mean, it doesn't hamper me from doing anything, but if it gets stiff, I do have to, I'm careful. When I straighten it out, I don't just whip it out like this one, you know. So, but I do have good knees, and I don't mind being in a minivan where I'm sitting Indian style, and it's okay. My knees can take it. When I straighten it out, I'm just careful, right? And I can straighten out my legs here. When I have to go get something, guess what I'm doing? I'm on my knees because I can't stand up. So these are things you're going to have to decide for yourself. Let's talk about what you're going to envision yourself doing and realizing, are you an organized person? I think we know, right? Let's be honest with ourselves. Are you organized? Are you one who demands cleanliness? Because let me tell you something, and in the nomad world, living in a small space like this, it can get dirty, and it's not always easy to clean. Cleaning up a smaller space can actually be harder because I've got so many things kind of shoved in areas that you have to get like this. I have to get behind it and pull things out. Yeah, if you're not an organized person, I definitely would get my book, How to Live in a Minivan, the Minivan Lee way. I mean, it'll help you organize. But there are other organizational ideas on YouTube, in books. You know, if you're not organized, I'm telling you, it can become a real rat's nest inside of a smaller area. It really can. And it becomes dirty. And then it becomes a little bit unhealthy to live in it. I do believe that. It can be unhealthy if you're not clean. I mean, I have to be careful with my pee bottle. I have to clean it. I mean, on a regular basis. I have to clean it. And I have to, you know, take care of that. I have to take care of my bucket. I have to take care, even my water bottle. I don't have a sink in here. I mean, even if you have an Econoline build-out fan, I mean, a lot of you aren't going to have sinks. Some of you just prefer not to. I find them actually dirtier to have a sink because you got that tube running down underneath in a little cabinet that you build out, and then you have to clean that. Oh my gosh, and then food's growing. To me, that's just more. That's just more things to clean. That's more things that can get dirty and get kind of like gross, moldy from food or whatever. So what I do is, here's what I do with this. I mean, because I suck on this. I put this on my mouth. How often do I clean this? If I was in a house, I would be soaking this in the sink every once in a while, right? And washing it with a brush. Well, I do have a brush for this. I also do have Q-tips, and what I do is I kind of clean it up with paper towel and alcohol, rubbing alcohol. And I got Q-tips that I can kind of go in there and kind of get all those little spaces in there. Yeah. Wash the outside with this. Put my tray out. That way I can do that. But these, I guess my point is, these are little things that you're going to have to think about. Can you handle stuff like that? Because even if you're a ProMaster, you want to clean things every once in a while. Now, I do have a collapsible bucket. But my thing is, maybe I should actually get another collapsible bucket. Maybe not a bad idea. Maybe I will do that. Put that on my list. Because I really don't want to be washing clothes or washing dishes and food stuff and sterilizing things in the bucket that I wash my face in. You know, because then I have to sterilize the I know. So these are things that you're going to have to think about. And for some of us, it's a reality. It's not like, for some of us, it's not a choice. It was a choice for me. But I'm not so sure I want to or could go back to living and paying rent. I really don't know. But for some of us, it's not a choice. And a lot of you have been forced out of your homes either due to evictions so that they can renovate and then push up the price, get a better price out of them, or you just can't afford it in the first place. You just can't afford it anymore. Or you're just tired of it. You're tired of the noise upstairs if you're in an apartment. If you're in a house, you're tired of the taxes and the repairs. Yeah. And maybe you don't even like your neighbors anymore. You own your house, but the neighborhood just kind of turned a little bit. It was nice. It started going downhill. That's happening all over. I've experienced that many times. So, for some reason, you want to become a nomad. You want to do the van life. I want to tell you here and now that it's not all glamour. It really isn't. But it is fun. It really is. It can be scary at times. I know some of you say, oh, I don't know where to park. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Our greatest fears lie in anticipation. Once you get out here, it's not that scary. But it is hard work. I will say it is harder work. My coffee. I got to clean up, my coffee mess. Drats. Drats, yeah. I don't know if I'll do it today. Maybe I will. We'll see what today brings. I'm going to go into the gym in just a little bit. But I wanted to talk to you first because I spilled my coffee and I thought, hey, I'm just going to sit here and talk to you. That's a good example of the hassle of living in a van. You have to be careful. And I'll tell you one thing that you really have to be careful with. Oh my goodness. Is not spilling your pee bottle. Think about that one. This was just coffee. This was just coffee. What about your pee bottle? I think tomorrow I want to talk about, so be here. Tomorrow, I do want to make you coffee. I promised I was going to make you coffee, so let me put this down for tomorrow. I want to make you coffee. Make coffee. And discuss buckets and pee bottles. Let's do that. I know some of you have already heard about it. You've already seen videos about it. But maybe I can bring a new twist to it, to really discuss the different types and for the different types of sizes and the different type of rigs that you might be in. If you're going to get a Class A, B, or C, I mean, you already have a bathroom in there, but I'll tell you, a lot of the people who own those don't use them. They don't want to deal with black water. They really don't. They have to dump it, and yeah, sometimes the tanks can leak. Yeah, it sounds like a hassle. So what they do is they use a bucket system. So this might actually apply to everybody using the bucket system. It does make it a little bit easier. You can keep the bucket right in your bathroom where you shower in your bathroom. So let's get to that tomorrow. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for listening. This is just the first step in deciding and wondering. And I really want your comments because I know you got your own stories. What was some of the worst, if you're a van dweller, what was the worst spill or boo-boo? The boo-boo. Remember boo-boo? Yogi Bear and boo-boo. And the ranger, of course. What was his name, the ranger? He had a name. What was his name? Hanna-Barbera cartoons. So what was the biggest boo-boo you ever did living in your vehicle? And what are your biggest fears? What kind of a vehicle, a rig do you think you would want? I would really like you to tell me. Would you do that for me? Because I really want to know, like, what is the popular? What are you guys thinking out there on that? Because I love my minivan. I do. So, okay, well, I'm going to end this. I love you guys. Mwah. Thanks for spending time with me today and watching it all the way through. Just a little bit of thought-provoking discussion. And then we'll get going with how to live in a minivan, how to live in your vehicle, and get into some more direct fine point it, like get that dart and let's hit that bullseye on all different subjects of living, how to live in your vehicle, whether you want to or whether you have to, okay? Love you guys. Bye.